What's going on, all you minties? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today I get to talk about one of my most favorite stories of all time, Animal Man by Grant Morrison, Omnibus. So, this is the latest printing. Let's check it out, and we'll do a comparison to the original printing as well. And welcome back, everybody. So here we have the Animal Man Omnibus. This is the 2022 edition. I'll be doing a little comparison here in a second, but I wanted to check out this cover with you all first. This right here is drawn by the phenomenal and legendary Brian Bolland, who even in the first printing of the book didn't get any type of billing, but who gets top billing, and rightly so, is Grant Morrison, because they are the ones that immediately noticed, besides the DC Black Label that was different from this in the first printing, is the type of paper that the dust jacket is printed on. This right here has a flat finish to it, where this has a glossy finish to it. So it absorbs the colors, honestly, a little bit more, making them a little bit darker over here. And it's the exact same blurb here from Spin Magazine. Watch out for Grant Morrison. He's a regular comics apocalypse. That might be an understatement. But honestly, I like the colors more here. They really pop out more. Where here, they look a little bit more bland. Vertigo logo, of course, being used instead of the DC Black Label, because rest in peace, Vertigo is no more. Which kind of sucks. Well, no, it doesn't kind of suck. It sucks. The printing on the left-hand side, the original printing, seems to be just a little bit thicker than the printing on the right-hand side. This one is printed in the USA, and this one printed in Canada. Now, Vertigo down here instead of the DC logo, which surprises me because usually they put the DC Black Label underneath it. But, hey, whatever. Maybe it's because, well, no, I take that back. It's not whatever. Maybe it's because somebody actually made the decision that, hey, this wasn't technically Vertigo. This was actually DC and then became Vertigo, so maybe that's why they did it. The back of the book looking almost identical, except mine, of course, aged a little bit. The retail price of this one, the original printing, was $75. The new printing is $100. Even the same blurbs are there. The font looks identical when it comes to this right here. It's a little bit different font when talking about, for the very first time, every single issue of Grant Morrison's Animal Man collected. Underneath the dust jacket. Oh, and one more thing. Even the flaps are identical. And like I mentioned, just the only difference is just what the dust jacket feels like. I don't want to say it's just flat, because it does have a unique feel to it in the old printing. But this one is definitely like the dust jackets you've seen in Omnis recently. So the art on board, even the colors here with the new printing, look like they're a little bit darker and pop out more than the original printing. And this is a wonderful, oh, I love this cover right here. One of my favorite covers. I believe it's from the third trade paperback of Animal Man by Brian Bolland. He did original artwork for the trade paperbacks. Again, the colors on the newer printing pop out a little bit more than the original printing. Man, there's some heartbreaking issues in here. All right, let's talk about the brilliance of Grant Morrison's Animal Man. It's going to be a little difficult without going into spoilers, but I'm going to do my best. I am very envious of the people that get to read this for the first time, that have never experienced this wonderful story, this almost out-of-body experience story. And I think about that because as soon as I got this in last week, the astonishing Melanie grabbed it from me. She looked at the cover and was like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know anything about this character. And she started reading it. And when she was reading it, she was texting me when she was at school working. She was like, hey, I'm really enjoying Animal Man. And she was just in the first couple of issues. And in my head, I'm like, oh, just you wait. Oh, sorry. So here we have the Animal Man Omnibus, written by Grant Morrison. Chas Trogue doing most of the art, like 90% of the artwork in here with Doug Hazelwood. Tom Grumet doing a couple of fill-in art. Tatiana Wood is the main colorist here, but Janice Chang also helping out with colors. John Costanza being the main letterer on this particular book. Here's your table of contents, where you're going to find each of the issues. And it is very important to note that all cover art is by Brian Boland, except where noted. And really, the only place that it's really noted is from the Secret Origins number 39 issue right there with the cover art by Michael Wim. And Kaluta. W.M. Kaluta. Okay, so this collects issues 1 through 26 of Animal Man. And it also collects that Secret Origins issue right there, which we saw that appears in issue number 39. There is an introduction here from the very first trade paperback of Animal Man. This is by Grant Morrison when they wrote it in 1991. And I assume things haven't changed for Morrison. I just don't see Morrison really writing any introductions. As a matter of fact, they felt really out of place writing an introduction here. It's like, what do you say about Grant Morrison's work when you're Grant Morrison? It's brilliant! But I think they ended up just writing it as, hey, it's a story about this guy named Buddy Baker and his family. Enjoy. This book has 712 pages. Now, here we have Animal Man number 1. So this is all after the UK invasion of American comics. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. You know, I actually mean that as a great thing. You had Alan Moore writing Swamp Thing. And then they got this Scottish guy named Grant Morrison to come in and write Animal Man. And really taking a chance on this particular writer. And this is the very first published work in America, or for DC Comics rather, by Grant Morrison. Now, I think DC played it safe and said, okay, we're only going to do a 4-issue miniseries, write about an obscure character. And Animal Man came to mind. He was a character from the 60s that appeared in Strange Adventures and really was just an obscure character. Then we had a whole Crisis on Infinite Earths. And speaking of Crisis, I will say that most of the time when I go into these overviews, I try to tell people, you know, do you need to have read anything before the omnibus or what you should have read? Really, the only thing I think that's important to really appreciate the stories happening here, to kind of give you a better understanding of where this is all going, is Crisis on Infinite Earths. And if you don't read it, all you really need to know about Crisis is that, hey, we are wiping the entire slate clean. DC decided we're getting rid of the multiverse, we're getting rid of the different Earths, and it's going to be recreated all under one Earth. All the superheroes that you've known from the Golden Age and Silver Age are going away, they're dying. And now we are remaking the world under one world, or one Earth. And that's pretty much what you need to know, but I think it really does help out reading at least a 12-issue maxi series. Now, what is Animal Man? What the heck am I talking about? I've gone on about Crisis, I've gone on about the art and the writers. So Animal Man is the story of Buddy Baker. Buddy Baker has the ability to acquire the animal powers from animals around him. Here we have a perfect example. Flying like an eagle, because he acquired that power. Or the strength of an ant. Or the speed of an ant. And the strength of a gorilla. Things like that. So it starts off very basic. He's a family man. He is married with kids. This is Ellen, his wife, and then he has a son right here. This is Cliff and his young daughter, Maxine. I think Cliff is not even 10 years old, and Maxine is somewhere around 5. But he is your pretty much happy-go-lucky, almost down-to-earth type of hero at the very beginning of the story. He's going on just pretty interesting adventures, and Morrison seems to have been playing it safe. Because I don't think they were expected to sell this book. And then when sales came back with those issues, they were like, DC pretty much was like, hey, Grant, you want to keep writing the book? And the idea to keep writing the book wasn't really there. So immediately with issue 5, Grant Morrison changes comics forever. And I'll get to that here in a second. I've talked about that actually on my channel before, the importance of the Coyote Gospel. But here, here's an actual power of his. This is the obscure character of the Buana Beast. And this is when he loses a limb and he's able to grow it back because he's able to acquire the powers of an earthworm. So he's able to regenerate his arms. And you can kind of see where this is going. Now, that power gets expanded once Morrison goes just full blown insane. And in a good way, insane. So this is pretty much a 4-issue miniseries explaining his powers, explaining who his family is, giving him an antagonist. But the real story, when Grant Morrison got to do Grant Morrison type of stories, happens in this issue right here. Issue number 5. Now, we got a little bit of a taste of what's to come in the 4-issue miniseries, such as like tapping into the Buona Beast's powers. So, Buona Beast isn't really a beast, right? He's a man, so you get a little hint as to what Buddy's powers really can be. So, Coyote Gospel, to me, is one of those comics that I read, and I thought, holy crap, comic book medium is the perfect medium for stories. It can do things that you can't do in movies or novels, television shows, or Broadway plays, or musicals, or audio books. This is the only medium you can do stories like this in. And this is a story that's been around since 1988, I believe is when this came out, because the story was launched in 1988. So it's all about this character named Crafty, who is, of course, like your Wile E. Coyote character. And you don't know where it's going. There's a lot of metaphors in here. There's a lot of Christian visuals in here. So it's the story of Crafty, and Crafty pretty much keeps getting killed and keeps getting hunted down because he does look like a monster. But what people don't know about Crafty is that he has escaped his cartoon world. So he has come to our world because he has broken that barrier. He has transcended into a completely different world. And he has gone from the cartoon world to the comic book world. And the saddest thing about all of this is he pretty much lays out the plan for Animal Man for the next 26 issues. I'm assuming that's what Grant Morrison wanted to do, or the way I've always interpreted. But he's given Buddy the map. And Buddy can't read it. He's like, I'm sorry, I can't read it. Now, something tragic, of course, happens, but holy crap. This issue changed the way that I thought about comics. I'm not going to spoil what happens to Crafty. I'm not going to spoil what the map means. But if you've read this, you know how tragic that is. Now, the next couple of issues are Invasion tie-ins. Invasion was a big event at DC Comics. I believe it was under Keith Giffen. And aliens coming to Earth. That's all you need to know. Now, aliens do play a big role in Buddy's life. All the way back to Strange Adventures, but more so here. Oh, I love this, that Grant Morrison was able to talk DC into letting them just have at it with the Mirror Master and changing him into a Scottish character. So through the series, you also get a couple of other things that Morrison was very, very in your face about. And one of those things was animal rights and the fight for animal abuse. There's a lot of animal activist things in here. There's a story about a dolphin hunter that is out there gutting dolphins, and there's a really, like, if you can't stomach animals getting hurt, I don't think this is the book for you, I will say that. He's out there gutting dolphins, and Buddy just has enough and just throws him in the ocean to be killed off, only to be saved by those very dolphins that this hunter was killing. There's a lot of powerful messages in here. Buddy pushes his entire family to become vegetarian. Of course, that makes sense, right? If you're going to be an animal activist, you have to be vegetarian. As a matter of fact, in the introduction, Grant Morrison talks about their journey becoming a vegetarian and becoming a real full-fledged animal activist. Thought that was pretty cool. But yes, Cliff has a problem with that. Like, he's eating a burger in one scene and Buddy catches him. He's like, I saw that. What are you doing, man? Now, I talked about Buddy's powers, being able to get the attributes of animals around him. Later on, he has the ability to get the powers of animals like dinosaurs. In eventually, not even animals that are around him, in the near vicinity of him. Now that's because of his unique, strong connection to the morphogenic field and the red. This is a force that flows through everything and connects all of us. That's why he's able to use these powers and these very untapped powers. Now, that's just one of his powers. As the story progresses, you get more and more clues as to where this is going. And as early as issue number 5, you start seeing computer screens, you start seeing hands that you're like, what the hell does that have to do with the story? But he has also another power. What most people probably know about Animal Man, I'm just basing it on memes or what they've seen on the internet, is that he has this strange metafictional power, meaning that he can interact with comic book panels. He is not confined to panels. He can break the panels and break out of these squares and rectangles and be free of them and interact by breaking the fourth wall. So I'm not talking more like She-Hulk or Deadpool, but it's a big part of him and what ends up happening to him. I'm not going to spoil why he has this power or how important this power is, but it plays a huge role in the entirety of this book. And like I said, they've laid the foundation for that ever since Coyote Gospel. And it is, to put it just simply, brilliant. I never read a comic book like that when I was reading this. So I do have to talk about one issue, though, with the cover here, of course, by Brian Boland, and that was my first issue of Animal Man, issue number 24. This series ended with 26, so I was really confused. I had to go back and try to find those back issues, but I had to get this. I was like, that's Psycho Pirate, and he was a big player in Crisis on Infinite Earths. What the hell is Animal Man, and why is Psycho Pirate spewing out a bunch of comic books? Yeah, man. The twists and turns and the horrible things that end up happening to poor Buddy throughout this, you know, a lot of things aren't fair. And that's exactly what you're going to say when you read this. You're going to say to yourself, damn, man, that's not fair. What the hell? Poor Buddy. Or poor So character. And then you ask why it happened. And the whole time So is Buddy. And when you read it and get to that ending, oh my gosh. It's just, I'll say the ending, what happens for the people that have read it, you know, it's not unique. I've seen it before. But it is the first time that there are words exchanged and explanations, if you will, instead of just something thrown in there. Damn, I am speaking in riddles, but I don't want to spoil this wonderful book for anybody. I think that's all I will say about Animal Man, honestly. I've talked about his powers, his family, and where it could lead. And I didn't even get to talk about the Overvoid, but that's a completely different story. That's a big DC thing. Alright, let's do a little comparison here between the colors and the paper stock and the binding. But first, let's talk about the binding here. So, again, this book has 712 pages. And I'll be honest with you, I've seen better eyes. I didn't really have an issue with the book laying over, and I know Melanie had started reading it and she didn't mention anything, but she said, yeah, there we go. So the book lays over pretty good. Then we'll look at the back of the book here. There we go. These are just the only extras, by the way. There's a bio on Grant Morrison that I can't show, and then the 3 trade paperback covers. But the book seems to be laying over pretty good on the back, too. Now, as far as the differences, I mainly wanted to just focus on the internal artwork. Mainly those colors. And the colors, just a little bit darker in the new printing. The paper stock, honestly, feels almost identical. Maybe a little thicker in the original printing, and I mean a little bit thicker. Not by much in the original printing. But I did just want to focus on the actual colors, the internal colors. And other than looking just a little more darker than these, there's no difference. There you go, so you can get a better idea. You can kind of tell with the greens right here on the tree leaves, more so in the newer printing. It's the exact same page count as well. So it's easy to find the pages to match them up. This is page 338. And again, colors, just a little bit darker here and a little more flat over here on the original printing. By the way, so you can rest assured that that binding isn't terrible, this is my original one. This is what the eye looks like, and I've read this at least 4 times and opened it up immediately, the proper way of stretching the spine. But that's the way the eye looks. It's a little bit bigger, but I think in time, when this one gets read a little more, we might have a bigger eye. But that, as they say, no, you know what? No, not yet. Go and buy this book. It is freaking brilliant and belongs in everyone's library. Now, that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you live in Europe and are interested in buying and pre-ordering Omnis, then you should definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC books within the EU, flat shipping rates of €11.90 for all EU countries, great customer service with sturdy packaging and emails answered within 24 hours. They also offer a superb selection of new titles and out-of-print books. Just head over to waltscomicshop.com for more great deals and rare titles. For a limited time, you can use the code nearmintcon, all one word, at checkout and get a €10 voucher for your first order over €40. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for Omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ting!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus, as well as the comparison to the original printing. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking this up, in case you missed out on the first printing, if you have never read this and you're just going in completely blind, if you have read this and what you think of this wonderful, brilliant story. If you have any questions and comments, leave your questions and comments down below. Check out our Patreon, which is the link is in the description of the video. And thank you so much to our existing patrons. Could not be making videos like this possible without you all. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.